Hector's Brave Journey. The Hermit Crab's Great Escape. Hector the Hermit Crab loved crawling along the sandy shallows of his beautiful lagoon. His little claws left tiny tracks in the wet sand as he searched for food and explored the rock pools. The warm water sparkled in the sunlight, and Hector felt happy to be in his home under the sea. But one day, everything changed. As Hector was minding his own business, searching for the perfect shell to call his new home, a huge shadow appeared over the lagoon. It grew bigger and bigger until suddenly, swoosh, Hector found himself trapped in a big net. "What a great catch!" shouted Larry, the fisherman. He hauled Hector and dozens of other sea creatures into his boat. The net was full of hermit crabs, starfish, and even snails. "This will fetch a great price at the pet shop." Hector was scared. He had never been far from his lagoon, and now he was being taken away from his friends and family. He watched as the boat sped away, carrying him far from the only home he had ever known. A new life at the pet shop. A week later, Jimmy and Tammy were shopping with their mom at a brand new plaza in their town. The plaza was built right across from a small beach and the beautiful blue ocean. It was a fun place to shop, but today was different. Their mom told them they couldn't buy anything. They were only there to find a special gift. As they walked through the plaza, Jimmy sighed. "Another shoe store? More dresses? Pots and pans? This is so boring." "Stop complaining, Jimmy," said Tammy. "We're almost done." Suddenly, their mom smiled and pointed to a big door. "How about we visit the new pet shop while I finish shopping?" she said. "It's supposed to have a giant aquarium with all kinds of fish, maybe even a shark." Jimmy and Tammy's eyes lit up. "The pet shop," they both shouted and raced toward the door. As they entered, their jaws dropped in amazement. Right in the middle of the store was a giant aquarium, bigger than any swimming pool they had ever seen. They walked around it, peering into the water at all the colorful fish, but then Tammy spotted something in the back of the store. "What's over there?" she asked, pulling Jimmy toward a sign that read, "Little Critters." Inside the room, they saw all sorts of small creatures, mice, chipmunks, moles, and even starfish. But something special caught Tammy's eye. "Look at this, Jimmy," she squealed. "A hermit crab." Jimmy rushed over to see, and there, sitting quietly in the sand, was Hector. He peeked out from his shell, his big claw covering his face. He looked so small and scared. Tammy looked at him closely and smiled. "I'm going to call him Hector," she said. "He's looking for a new home, just like in the stories." A new friend. Jimmy and Tammy's mom joined them, and when she saw how excited they were, she couldn't resist. "Okay," she said with a smile. "Let's get him." The salesperson carefully placed Hector in a small box, and they bought everything Hector needed: a new cage, hermit crab bedding, extra shells, and even a little pool of water. Tammy and Jimmy were overjoyed. Hector had found a new home with them. At home, they took excellent care of Hector. They gave him fresh food every day, cleaned his cage, and even placed small rocks in his pool for him to climb on. But as time passed, Hector seemed less and less happy. No matter how much love Jimmy and Tammy gave him, Hector missed his real home in the lagoon. He missed the salty ocean breeze, the sound of the waves, and most of all, his friends and family. A big decision one morning. As Jimmy and Tammy watched Hector crawl slowly across his cage, they both realized something important. "Mom," Tammy asked, "can we let Hector go?" Their mom looked surprised. "What do you mean, dear? Don't you like him anymore?" "Of course we do," Jimmy replied. "But he seems sad. He misses his family and the lagoon. I think the best thing we can do for him is set him free." Their mom smiled, proud of their unselfish decision. "I think you're right," she said softly. "It's time to let Hector go back where he belongs." Hector's great escape. That afternoon, the family took Hector to the lagoon. Tammy gently placed him on the warm sand near the water's edge. Jimmy placed his little pool and rocks beside him. As they watched, Hector slowly peeked out of his shell. The ocean breeze touched his face, and he knew he was home. Just as they were about to leave, Hector scuttled toward the water, his tiny legs moving quickly over the sand. He turned back one last time, as if to say thank you, and then disappeared into the shallows. Tammy and Jimmy waved goodbye, feeling a mix of sadness and happiness. They had loved Hector dearly, but they knew they had done the right thing. Hector was back where he belonged, with his family in the great big ocean. A true act of love. As they walked away, they heard a faint tapping on the rocks. Turning around, they saw Hector, along with other hermit crabs, slowly crawling into the shallows together. It was a sight they would never forget. Tammy and Jimmy smiled. They knew they had given Hector the greatest gift of all, his freedom. And from that day on, they understood that true love means making sure everyone is happy, even if it means saying goodbye.